Welcome back to Operation Management class. Planning in aggregate is a challenging. We need to consider many aspects from the people, equipment, and then the resources that we have. In this video, we learn a lot about how we can conduct the aggregate planning. Let's see about that in detail.
Discussing about the aggregate planning strategy, basically there are two options in generating aggregate plan. That is capacity option, which is adjusting the capacity to meet the demand. And the second is demand option, which is influence demand to match the capacity. In this video, we will focusing on the capacity option. Basically, each option has its own advantage and disadvantage. From the capacity option, there are several alternatives that we can use, such as number one, we can adjust inventory level during period of low demand to meet high demand in the future period. Second, we can also do variation in workforce size by hiring and layoff process. However, new employees need to be trained and productivity may drop temporarily. On the other hand, layoff process for sure will lower the morale of the employees and may lead to lower productivity as well. The third option is we can vary production rate through overtime or idle time. Here, number of employees is maintained at the constant level, while working hour is adjusted according to the production level. Overtime and idle time imply added costs to keep a production run smoothly. The fourth option is subcontract. Company can acquire temporary capacity by subcontracting work during peak demand periods. The subcontract, however, has several pitfalls such as it is costly, it is risky opening the door for the supplier, and also supplier evaluation can be a challenge. The fifth option is using part-time worker, especially in service sector such as restaurant, retail store, and supermarket. By combining those alternatives, operation manager may generate several plans following the chase and level strategy. Chase strategy typically attempt to achieve output rate for each period that match the demand forecast for that period. Vary workforce level or vary production rate is also part of the chase strategy. And this strategy is favored by many service organizations. On the other hand, level strategy focus on the uniform production from period to period. Of course, we can mix both of the strategy to get better plan that has a minimum cost. In the level strategy, we still can use the inventory or idle time as a buffer. And it is stated also in level strategy, stable production lead to better quality and productivity. Of course, there is some combination or some mix of both strategy to get better plan that has minimum costs. Take a look at the current example. In this table, present expected demand and production days per month for 6 months starting from January to June. The average of demand per day can be acquired by dividing the total expected demand with the production days, which resulted 50 units per day. When we draw a pattern of demand, we can get the following figure, where the daily demand is below the average for the first 3 months starting from January to March and gradually increase to the level of higher than average demand starting from April to June. This table presents the cost information for each cost factor such as inventory carrying cost, subcontract, average pay rate, overtime pay rate, labor hour to produce a unit, cost of increasing daily production rate, in this case is hiring and training, and cost of decreasing daily production rate or the layoff cost. Let's see the inventory option as our first strategy in aggregate plan. Starting from the month of January, we have the production days of 22, and with this option we should produce at the same rate, which is the average of the production, the average of the unit that we already calculated before. So with the speed of 50 units per day, we got 1100. While the forecast demand is 900, we have the excess of plus 200 that become an inventory. In February, we have the production days is 18, and we can calculate based on those production days. We have the 900 in this case, and demand forecast 700, and against we have the excess inventory 200 that will accumulate in become 400. We can do the similar calculation until we reach the month of April, where the production days is 21 and production total unit produced is 1050, while the demand forecast is much higher than that, 1200. So we have minus 150 gap. So we use the inventory to fulfill those gap. So our inventory is reducing, becoming 500, and then the same calculation we can do until the month of June, where we have the ending inventory is 0 at the end of June. So the total of inventory from January to June is 1850. The workforce required to produce 50 units per day is equal to 10 workers. While 10 workers, we see that each worker has the productivity of 1.6 unit. If we have 8 hours, so 8 hours divided by 1.6 unit, which is equal to 5. In order to produce 50, so we need 5 multiplied by 10 worker. So workforce required to produce 50 unit is 10 worker. Let's calculate the cost for our inventory option. The inventory carrying cost is equal to 1850 multiplied by the inventory cost, which is 5 per unit, and regular working hour, regular time for a labor, it is 10 worker multiplied by their pay rate, 80 per day and 124 days. So in total, we have 108.450 in total for this option. So thank you so much for joining me in this video discussing about the first aggregate planning strategy using the inventory. Let's see the other strategy in the next video.
Thank you so much for joining me in Learning Operation Management. See you again in the next video.